What's up, duelists? We're back with your regular 8-man content, but today I am playing the fabled Chaos Dragons deck list from RBET Orlando, created by Robert Frazee, who made it all the way to top 4 with a 10-1 record. This is a deck that I thought looked very exceptional. It looked very good on camera. Maybe he was just sacking his way. I don't know, but I'm going to try the deck out today in an 8-man. I already played the 8-man. And I'm going to show you guys the replays. I'm going to give you the analysis. And I'm going to be doing some direct one-to-one comparison to the other Dragon deck that topped, which is a list that I have worked on extensively, which is this list, the DD Warrior Lady Dragon list. This is a deck that I personally think is very, very strong, especially against some of the best decks in the format, Black Wings in particular, Vayu in particular. I think this deck, I'm not necessarily certain it does what the other deck does better. So that's something that I'm going to be paying attention to. When making such drastic changes to a deck, it's like, okay, these are some pretty drastic changes. I'm cutting Totem Dragon. I'm cutting Mass Dragon. I'm replacing them with Raikou. I'm cutting DD Warrior Lady, which I think is one of the best cards in the deck. And I'm replacing it with Upstart Goblin. So is this really a change I want to be making? Is this really a change I think improves the deck? Or is the deck actually just overall just a different take on it that isn't necessarily better or worse or whatever? It's just, we're looking at it from that perspective. Because, like, in order to, make such big changes, you have to think, like, okay, is this worth it? Is the upside cost worth it or whatnot? There's obviously some cool power in this. Dark Arm Dragon, Lightning Vortex, some really strong cards. Raikou is very good if it does mill the Wyvern and the Red Eyes, but overall, like, you're missing out on those 3x Drago. You're kind of missing out on some of the power. And I don't think Debris Dragon necessarily has that sort of raw power. Having a 1-card Black Rose is good, don't get me wrong. Anyway, in the sideboard, I did make one change from Robert's list. I swapped his Burial from the Different Dimension for a Mind Control. I think Mind Control is a much better card. I think it's incredibly powerful, especially in the mirror match. I expect to see a lot more Dragon mirror matches moving forward. So I do want to have that Mind Control in my sideboard. I think it combos well with the Plague and with the 3 Debris Dragon. It also combos, well, not combos, but it does well versus Raikou. So I think just bringing that in. And also taking Hamster, grabbing my own Raikou is pretty solid too. So, yeah, I think that's the only change that I made to the list. Let's go ahead and hop into the replay. So the first replay is up against Happy. I'm going to show just my hand so I can explain things. He says, good luck, have fun, I hope you lose, and then I win the rock, paper, scissors, which is funny. Shout out GoatBoy78, by the way. I met him at RBET Orlando. Really cool guy. He gave me a Prismatic Korean DD Assailant. One of the coolest cards I own. It went right in my binder. Just a super sick card. I can't wait to try and build a deck around it because it's one of my favorite card arts. Okay, so this opening hand, we got some of the new cards. We got Raikou, we got Dust Tornado, we got Lightning Vortex. So these are all cards that I don't normally play. So we're going to see how good these cards are. I just, I'm limit testing. So I'm just going to set 3 and set the Raikou and see how it goes. Because I think if this goes well, then cool, and if it doesn't go well, then alright, you got me. At this point in the game, I'm thinking if a Card Trooper gets summoned, I'll solemn it. If something like Stratos gets summoned, I'll solemn it. Because I just want my Raikou to hit back row, I want my Dust Tornado to hit back row, and then maybe I want to compulse my Raikou later or something like that. But I don't want my opponent to get value off my Raikou here. That's definitely not what I want. I want to be able to hit a Dragon for my Red Eyes. I want to maybe hit a Plague or a Wyvern. That'd be ideal. Opponent just T-sets passes. M-Phase, I Dust Tornado. It's Call of the Haunted. So one thing that you should learn in Edison format is usually, not always, but usually when your opponent sets Call of the Haunted this early on, it's because this monster right here gets value off of Call of the Haunted, and it also means that they don't have Gores. Usually speaking. Sometimes they do. Sometimes people 5-head you, especially if they know what you're playing. But in the dark, game 1, if your opponent sets Call of the Haunted turn 1, it means that their monster gets value when it's destroyed, and Dust Tornado hitting the Call of the Haunted means that he probably doesn't have Gores in hand because he set Call of the Haunted with no whatever. Like if I Caius his monster, for example, then the Call of the Haunted is going to be just completely cooked here. So yeah, Dust Tornado hits that. We pick up Debris Dragon, and here I'm like, okay, so Raikou hitting the monster, even if it is a monster that gets value, I don't even really care because I have Solemn Compulsory and I have 4,000 damage if I mill a Dragon. So I flip the Raikou, I blow up that, and I do mill a Dragon. So yeah, Sangan's going to search for something, searches for Lone Fire. Here I go normal Debris, banish Special Red Eyes, and bring out my other Debris. So at this point in the game, I have 4,000 damage. Let's look at his hand. He's got Hidden Armory, Brain Control, DDR. So like some ways, Lone Fire can get to Titanial, but, you know, let's be real. I'm going to win this game. So, yeah, I'm going to attack for 4,000. He's going to go Lone Fire. I'm going to go Solemn Judgment. He's going to try to brain control something. I don't know what he's going to do with it, and I'll just compulsory whatever he brain controls, and then I'm going to beat him next turn. So that's pretty much my game plan here, but I disconnect. So we had to void this game in order to get content. My computer just gave up. It just gave up. And then here my computer broke, and he said, easiest game of my life. So we voided this game. Even though 99% of the time I do win here, yeah, we voided it. I could have also, like, I was planning on Soloming the Lone Fire, basically, and saving compulsory for Mark of the Rose. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Next game, Happy Pills. Not next game, but we go back and we just like, let's just restart the match, whatever. I had a significant advantage, but I disconnected, so, you know, let's just restart, let's just mulligan, and I win the rock, paper, scissors again. He says, how are you so good? And then, yeah, I set 2 and pass. I set the Reaper and the Mirror Force and the Dust Shoot. I still don't know what he's playing, so I'm going to Dust Shoot, see his hand, and we get revealed here that he is on the Amaryllis Burn, which is another deck that I think has a lot of potential. But turn 1 Dust Shoot can really mess this deck up, especially if it's relying on just the 1-of starter that it has, and that's exactly what's happening here. Lone Fire Blossom's going to get taken. He has his own Dust Shoot and his own Call of the Haunted, so we do have a sort of interesting stalemate happening here. He can't really get through the Reaper, but he can't really do anything. So I'm going to take the Lone Fire, and he's going to set Necro Gardener and set Trap Dust Shoot and just pass, and he's going to Dust Shoot me here. This is going to take away my Wyvern. So my intention here was, if he doesn't have Dust Shoot set, just summon Wyvern and attack. But if he does have the Dust Shoot, then he's going to take the Wyvern, and then we are in a stalemate now. So we just set 2 and pass. Now in hindsight, this is a misplay. I should have just set the Dust Tornado. So that's just a misplay. I shouldn't have done that. But this is me getting used to the deck. I don't normally main deck Dust Tornado, but that is definitely a silly play on my part. I just wanted to have both down in case. Now here I have some opportunities. He does top deck the Lone Fire again, so he is able to go for that into Titanial. If I allow the Titanial to hit my Reaper, he can Mark of the Rose to kill my Reaper, and then I can go Debris Dragon, and then I can make Black Rose, but then Black Rose isn't very good because I have 3 back row. So if I allow the Titanial to attack my Reaper and I Mirror Force the Titanial, he does have Call of the Haunted, but I do have Dust Tornado for that Call of the Haunted. So we're kind of chilling. And then also here, what if he just doesn't attack? You know what I mean? So I don't really know. Yeah, I think his best play is not to attack. And just try to set up Titanial with a bunch of negates. But he attacks. And I think that this play is pretty bad, in my opinion. I think he should have just waited. Because, like, now if he attacks and I just have, like, a D-Prison, it's so much worse than next turn. He can call a Lone Fire into Dandy, and then he can have Dandy plus Titanial and then swing into Deep Prison all day. So I think that this play is pretty bad. He does end up attacking. And I do like to Mirror Force because I just want to keep my Reaper chilling. I don't want it to get marked. I don't want to have to both dust the mark and the... Although, you know what? In hindsight, I probably should have let it flip. I don't know. I didn't want to be in a situation where, like... I'm not going to explain this. I'm not going to explain it. You know what? Fuck it. Sometimes... I Mirror Force it, and there's no real reason why. I honestly don't think I needed to Mirror Force it, but here we are. Alright, so I draw Lightning Vortex. I'm like, oh, that's good, because now when he called the Haunted Titanial back, I have the out, and I can save the Dust Tornado for the Mark of the Rose. So we're chilling. He draws Torrential, sets passes, doesn't shuffle his hand. That's a misplay. On DB, you want to shuffle your hand if you're going to set cards. Usually best to shuffle your hand no matter what. He draws Hidden Armory. He activates it. He finds DDR. He can't normal summon this turn. He just has to pass. We draw again. We draw Raikou, and I'm like, oh, now I got some plays. I'm going to set that Raikou and pass. He goes Flip Necro Gardener, Torrential Tribute, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty strong. So he's going to get 2 of my good cards for his 1 card, and I'm like, all right. So we know DDR, Mark, Call Amaryllis. He's going to set 2 cards here, which he does, and then set a monster. And so because he set 2 cards, and I know only one of them is actionable, I'm okay with waiting on the Dust Tornado. Again, we can just chain it to the call, so it's not that big of a deal. But I'm like looking at his field and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this, you know, like one of the sets is Call, which is going to eat Lightning Vortex plus a discard, which I don't really have at this moment. And then one of the sets is either DDR or Mark of the Rose, both of which I don't have outs for. So I end up just going for this Debris Dragon, bring out the Spirit Reaper, and Black Rose activate. Because especially if that set is Raikou, I don't want that Raikou flipping up and then like blowing up one of my cards. And there's also a chance that it is Morphing Jar. And it turns out it was Morphing Jar. So pretty good for us. Now I could have set my 2 cards and then attacked into it, but in the case that it is Raikou, then I feel like an idiot. And if it is Morphing Jar, he can actually just use the Necrogarna to protect it and maybe try to top deck Heavy Storm, in which case me setting all 4 of my cards is silly. So I think that just going for the Black Rose nuke there is good. It gets a high value target for our Red Med in the graveyard, which means Red Med is now 5,200 points of damage. We got Lightning Vortex, we got Heavy Storm, so we're big chillin'. And we know his hand now at this point is just Mark of the Rose Amaryllis, which doesn't do anything. So we just pass. He finds trade-in, and now his hand does something, which is really annoying. End phase, he's able to bring out that Amaryllis. He hits us for 1,700. Mills 3 and passes a turn back. We do top deck Debris Dragon, which is really nice. I've found that Debris Dragon is kind of middling, but we're able to bring out the Reaper here. And I thought a bit about leaving this Reaper in attack position. It's a big damage trade in case he has a way to bring out that Lone Fire, but his DDR is in the graveyard, so I figured that this would be okay. I go Red Med, bring out Black Rose, and plus with 3 attackers here, it guarantees we clear all 3 monsters. So through Necrogarna, basically. I run over the Amaryllis. I could have made Ancient Fairy Dragon first with the Spirit Reaper to not leave the Spirit Reaper in play, because it does leave kind of an avenue for my opponent to attack me for a lot of damage. But, I mean, I don't think it matters that much. I think it's better to just clear the monsters through Necrogarna. We hit here, there's no Gores, and I'm just like, alright, based. He has that Mark of the Rose, which we didn't know about, but, you know, at least we have a big board here. He does get that big hit in for 2,500. We drop to 3,000, sets a monster, brings out Amaryllis, and passes. Draw for turn is Wyvern, which is pretty good. We can use Red Med to bring out the Debris Dragon. We can go ahead and attack the Wyvern into his Amaryllis. The reason we don't use the Heavy Storm is if the set is Raikou, he's basically forced to pop the Red Med if we attack with the Black Rose in order to win the race. So he hits the Red Med. He mills 3 cards. I believe he hits a Dandelion. No, he doesn't, but he does hit Plague, which is scary for us. But that being said, we didn't have to spend our heavy on the Mark of the Rose, which is nice. We pass the turn. He goes Plague, normal summon Dandelion, get 2 tokens, make Android. And now this is a play I was not sure why he made. I think he did this just to try and win the life race, but 600 isn't going to be enough to win the life race. I think he should have made Catastor. And I think just because Catastor doesn't trade with Black Rose. Either way, we would have had the Lightning Vortex to clear everything, but Catastor here and then beating the Black Rose and then passing the turn would have been best case scenario for him, I think. As it stands, we have Lightning Vortex. We hit all his monsters with this very powerful card. We're able to attack for 1,800 and then 2,400. We do set Bottomless Trap Hole and then pass the turn. End phase, he can bring out the Amaryllis, but we're going to Bottomless it, and he's going to lose even through his Necrogarna. So that's game 1. Technically game 2 because we played game 1 earlier, but we're just going to play a full match here. I boarded in the DD Crows, and I think that's it. I might have boarded in 1 or 2 other cards. I pass the turn. He starts off with Card Trooper, Mill Dandy, pass the turn, which is really good for us because... he foolishes Amaryllis, which trades with DD Crow. So we open up with DD Crow, which is really nice. You notice our hand is broken, by the way. We have Space Typhoon to make sure Future Fusion resolves, and then we have Dust Shoot to take the best card out of his hand again. Future Fusion revealing 5-headed dragon, sending 5 cards, setting Dust Shoot, setting Bottomless, setting I just said it all because I was just like, fuck it. Don't have Heavy Storm. And if he does have Heavy Storm, then he has to somehow beat Red Med too. So yeah, we go ahead and Dust Shoot. We see his hand. I return Plague so he can't Black Rose me. And his hand is just all bricks. He could tribute summon Titanial, try to crash, but I mean, we have Bottomless for that. So his best play is to try to go for Lila. He's going to go Card Trooper Mill 3. Lila's going to get Bottomless. He's going to attack the Red Eyes just to crash and try to draw into something. He finds Trade-In, which is actually pretty good. He draws into Fiend Comedian and Bot Lion. Fiend Comedian would have been good a little bit earlier, but we do have that M-Phase Typhoon for it because I did set for like the greedy bastard that I am. We find Caius, which is an insane draw here. We can just Red Med, bring out something, sack it for Caius, target the Amaryllis, and clear both. Now, that's not really that big of a deal. We could have cleared all those monsters anyway with Debris Dragon, bring back DD Crow, attack over both, attack over the monster, and then attack directly with Red Eyes, so it would have been fine. But this does banish the Amaryllis. Not that it really matters because he has no more plants in his graveyard anyway, so it's like totally chill. He sets Raikou. We get 5-headed dragon. Red Med brings out Drago. We attack with the 5-headed dragon. Raikou's going to destroy the Red Eyes. He's going to get 2 tokens. We're going to clear both tokens. This is just all like straightforward stuff. It's pretty much us closing out the game from this point. End phase, choose not to reveal with Drago, and then bring out our red med once again. This is a cool play you can do in this deck. Just choose when you want your Drago to be around. He draws Royal Decree, which isn't going to do it. He can set Lord Poison and float into Dandelion, but it's just not going to be enough. Red Med is going to bring out nothing, main phase 1. To play around Torrential, we attack over Lord Poison. Attack over the Dandelion, attack over 1 token. He can't tribute summon that Titanial that we know about. Set our own Torrential, end phase Decree, and I'm like, now I'm safe to just OTK next turn. He draws Skill Drain, but yeah, Skill Drain doesn't do it when I have the 5,000 monster in play. Sets Bot Lion. Yeah, it's just not going to do it. Here I just Red Med, bring out Drago. Attack, 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 and that's game. So, after the first game, a little bit of reflection. What did I like about this deck? Well, I opened insanely broken both games with Dust Shoot. I did not think that the monsters that I had, the Raikos and the Kaias, were like anything exceptional. I don't think that they really brought that much to the table. The one card I really did like, actually, was Lightning Vortex, which I played in the last game. I thought that that card was very good in this deck, and it's definitely something I'm going to be trying out in the other Dragon deck, this DD Warrior Lady one, after this as well, because I think that Lightning Vortex really did bring a lot to the table. I thought it was very powerful there. But as far as these games go, I mean, this one was more or less a Future Fusion game. DD Warrior Lady would have been better than Kaias there, just as a clear, and it also would have not cost me a monster in play, so yeah, I didn't really think that the Kaias was anything special, and yeah, the Raikos I have not been impressed with. I think I even sided them out in this matchup, so yeah, DD Crow, it is cool to be able to play DD Crow. This card's very good in specifically this matchup, but ultimately, like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? It saved me 800 life points. I won the game at 8,000. It doesn't really matter. Let's be real. Okay, next match. Versus CFE. This game, I lose the rock, paper, scissors, unfortunately. But that just happens 50% of the time, apparently. Opponent starts off with set 1 monster, pass the turn. Now this game's a really interesting one. I go ahead and summon Card Trooper, mill 3, attack. And we reveal that we are not playing dragons, or at least it looks like we're not playing dragons. And this is an argument for Card Trooper, because Card Trooper is just a great card here. Now the Shining Angel floats into Cyber Valley. This is almost always a misplay. You should never do this if you're playing fairies. I'm going to show you guys what my opponent is playing, because we're going to dust shoot him anyway. But he is playing, actually, Fairy Machina, which is a deck I've played before on the channel, and it's a deck that I think is kind of slept on. It's a pretty solid deck. You have some crossover in the engines between Cyber Valley, and Return is actually very good, and Alchemist is very good in both strategies. So what you should do here with this Shining Angel, because you do have this Herald of Orange Light to convert your brain control, you should actually just float into a Dimensional Alchemist, or if anything, you should float into another Shining Angel, or you should float into a DD Warrior Lady. But floating into Cyber Valley here, not only does it expose yourself to my brain control, my mind control, and you have to assume I'm playing zombies at this point, because very few decks play Spirit Reaper and Trigodia that isn't zombies. So you have to assume I'm playing zombies, which means I could have brain control or mind control in my hand, and it's just such a bad situation for you if I do have one of those, that it is absolutely not worth doing here. And not only that, but if I do have that, I also know that you have brain control from now on, and I'm going to play around it for the rest of the game. So I brain control the Cyber Valley. I get to draw 2 new cards, which is lovely. I get my Super Plus here. I find Upstart. I shotgun it. I find a second Debris, and I'm like, you know what? My hand is kind of bad. Like, all things considered, I do have 2 Darks in the grave. I have Lightning Vortex to set up the Dark Armed, which is cool. But my hand is not the best. It's not the best. So I'm just going to set the Dust Shoot and pass the turn. Here we are going to shotgun this Dust Shoot. And now is where we get into some really technical positional play. From this point in the game, when you activate Dust Shoot, what you should be thinking of, besides like what am I taking, is what do my next 3 turns look like? So I'm looking at my opponent's hand, and I'm like, alright, he can summon Fortress now and hit me for 25, dropping me down to 47, which is ridiculously low. He can have that brain control, basically threatening me if I ever commit to the field after I've dropped to 47 here, which is bad. That's just very bad for me. And how do I come back into that game? Well, I can't if he has Herald plus another Fairy. I could take Dimensional Alchemist, but perhaps if I don't take Dimensional Alchemist, he'll get maybe a little too aggressive with it. He'll go Alchemist plus Fortress. I'll be able to Vortex, and then maybe set a Debris Dragon to vibe until I can find an OTK push through this brain control, because that's really what I'm scared of. And I think in those situations, what's going to happen is the game is going to go into draw go. And draw go always favors the person who has Herald. So I'm going to take Herald here. I'm going to just eat the damage and just hope it's not good enough to brain control. So like, let's say I take the Fortress here, right? That means my opponent has Cyber Dragon plus Herald of Orange Light backup plus brain control. They can go Cyber Dragon, pressure me if I ever commit anything. If I ever try to use a monster effect, they can Herald it. It's just a difficult situation. Additionally, they could go Dimensional Alchemist, attack. If I ever kill the Dimensional Alchemist, they get back their Cyber Valley. They have Brain Cyber Valley. It's just a bad situation for me to be in. So I'm either taking Alchemist or Herald of Orange here. And I like to take Alchemist because there are some instances where Cyber Dragon plus Herald of Orange making Black Rose is actually really bad for me. So yeah, I think I'm not going to go too far into explaining it, but I think since the game is most likely going to go into draw go based off the way I want to play it, it always favors the person who has Herald. So yeah, they're going to go Alchemist, banish the top, hit Machine of Fortress, don't attack out of fear of Gores, which is respectable. Their hand can deal with Gores, but not in the most ideal fashion now that Herald of Orange is gone, and they can actually play draw go because their deck plays Herald. So as long as they're not being threatened, that's good for them. Here, I make a mistake. My play actually should have been set Debris Dragon, but I set the Plague because I'm like, okay, I have another discard for Vortex, and Plague will get me to 3 darks with Dark Armed Engrave, and next turn I might be wanting to do something like stack for Plague, potentially. We don't really know, but maybe. Here he goes Alchemist Activate, attack my set monster, and I'm like, okay, he's not committing further into the board, that's nice, but then he commits further into the board by setting the Nova Summoner. Now, from his perspective, it's actually incorrect to set the Nova Summoner here because you do want to find Herald of Orange, and you do want that Herald of Orange to be live, but also just having 2 monsters in play isn't too bad here for him. So in this situation, I'm like, okay, set monster could be a Raikou, but it's unlikely, especially if he copied my list because my list doesn't play Raikou. So I can just set Debris Dragon and chill. He'd have to Tribute Summon Cyber Dragon to get over the Debris Dragon. He activates Dimensional Alchemist here, banishing the top card of his deck. And then he attacks into my set monster. And this is where things get tricky because he takes 200. And notice he doesn't summon the Tragodia, which he should do. He should by all means summon this Tragodia, run over the Debris Dragon, then attack me directly for 14. There's like literally no reason not to do it. It's just like optimal to do that. Just take your plus, clear my position, make it difficult for me to come back into the game, and then close things out with Fortress and Brain Control after you've dealt that preliminary damage, basically. But he just passes. He doesn't drop Tragodia. So I'm like, okay, he didn't drop Tragodia on that attack. What are the chances he has specifically Gores? And if he has specifically Gores, then Goyo Guardian's insane, right? So I have a pretty crazy turn here. I'm able to Lightning Vortex, pitch the Wyvern, which is why I love Lightning Vortex in this deck. Red Med makes it free. Red Med was also an insane draw. We're going to banish the Debris Dragon, special summon out Red Med, special summon Dark Arm first, just so I don't mess up the grave accidentally. Bring out Wyvern, normal summon Debris Dragon, bring back Plague, Synchro Goyo Guardian. So this plays through Gores, which is the only thing that I'm predicting he could have, because if he had Drag last turn, he would have dropped it. He would have dropped it to beat my Debris Dragon. There was like literally no reason not to. So I attack for 1,000. I attack for 2,800 with the Red Eyes. I attack for 2,800 with the Dark Arms. And then here he does drop that Tragodia. And this is actually a mistake on his part. He should have dropped it on the first 2,800. So once again, messing up a little bit with his Tragodia. Tragodia is 3,000 here. So dropping it now means I can't actually run it over with any of my 2,800 monsters. So he took an extra 2,800 there for really no reason. We aren't able to clear with Goyo, but we are able to clear with Dark Armed. And because we did already normal summon, we cannot summon this Caius main phase 2. But I am thinking he's at 2,200. I know his hand. It's Brain, Double Fortress, Cyber Dragon, Heavy Storm. It would take a really, really good draw for him to come back into this game. He can clear my board, but then stack for Plague, sack for Caius is the win. So yeah, he draws Mind Control, which is obviously very good. He Brain Controls my Dark Armed Dragon. He goes ahead and blows up one of my monsters, the Goyo Guardian. He crashes. He attacks over the Debris Dragon. After the Dark Arm is destroyed there, of course. And then he sets a Mind Control and is forced to make Chimera Tech, so we don't reverse one with our own Chimera Tech. But I know that the set is most likely a bluff because he only had one turn to draw it. So I drew Charge. I just stack for Plague, summon the Plague, sack for Caius, and banish the Chimera Tech, which does seal us this victory. That being said, we did have Wyvern to bring back Red Eyes if we didn't have this play, so it was probably fine. So reflecting on this game, I did actually like having the synchro access. I did actually like being able to play draw go and then going for the lightning vortex thing. I thought that was pretty cool. I think that it's something that the other dragon deck doesn't necessarily struggle with, but in draw go situations when both players have like 7+ cards, which was the case in this game, it can become sometimes a little bit difficult to break with the DD Warrior Lady Dragon deck. But that being said, when you're going for game shots with the other deck, instead of using cards like Dark Armed or whatever, or Goyo, when you're running over Nova Summoners, you're most likely going to have Drago. And Drago would have actually just shut off his entire deck. So for the most part, yeah, it would have shut off the Cyber Dragon, shut off the Nova, the Angel. It would have shut off the Tragodia as well. So, yeah, pretty much just missing those Dragos definitely does alter the course of games like these, in my opinion. Going for big game shots is cool and everything, and going for big Dark Arm combos is cool, but it doesn't really matter if your opponent has Tragodia plus the reversal, and he definitely had the opportunity to reversal me had he drawn something that wasn't mind control, and also had the opportunity to reversal me had he dropped the Trag at the right moment, which was either on the Dimensional Alchemist attack or on the first attack from the last turn, the first 2800 attack. Okay, moving on to game 2. In this matchup, I did side in the Cyber Dragons, obviously, but I don't draw them. I did side in Soul Taker too. Here comes Machina Gearframe, gonna search Machina Fortress, passes the turn back, and we draw Red Eyes Darkness Metal, so I'm like, this hand sucks, I'm just gonna Allure, see what we can find, and we find Future Fusion, which is really nice. So Allure being a draw spell, very nice, being able to draw into your Future Fusion more consistently. I love that. I think that that's a huge draw to playing this list, is being able to play Allure of Darkness. Card's an insane busted card. We banish Caius because it is not the best card in our hand. It's pretty bad against Machina Fortress in general. So yeah, and we don't really have a great way to set up a tribute here outside of like Future Fusion, Red Eyes Wyvern, Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and then we've already spent our normal summon. So before like just blowing everything into the board here, I actually go for a really, really passive play here. In order to play around my opponent having Herald of Orange into Bryonic, into Christia, or some sort of Synchro play or some sort of Caius play on their turn, I elect to remove the Machina Gearframe with Soul Taker. So I go for Future Fusion. I send my 5 dragons. You'll notice here that we have to send these 5 because there's really not that much left in our deck. I did board in the other Dragos, so I wanted to make sure and send 1. I Soul Take this Machina Gearframe to play around some sort of Synchro play, outing my Future Fusion. Because end phase, I am going to bring out a Red Eyes, and I'm going to try to play a War of Attrition with him because I do have Future Fusion. Now this deck, unfortunately, doesn't have Totem Dragon, which is one of the best ways to capitalize off of Future Fusion. So instead of being a +4 Future Fusion like the one I'm used to, it is just a +2 Future Fusion. But that is still good enough, and that should definitely give us the win through a War of Attrition, provided we don't take a ton of damage. So I go ahead and Soul Taker the Machina Gearframe, and then I go end phase, bring out Red Eyes. And as you can see, this position is much stronger. He doesn't have Gearframe to utilize with either Caius or a Synchro play. If he was able to sack for Caius and summon Fortress, all of a sudden we're looking at taking 40 bajillion damage and like potentially losing by the time anything happens. It's just a better position to have him have nothing in play, and that's why I think burning the Soul Taker there is good. This will also force him to trade his Machina Fortress at -1 with my Red Eyes, which was essentially free. And that's exactly what's happening. You can see his hand here. He has Consecrated Light. He has Cyber Valley, Shining Angel. Now, Consecrated Light is a pretty terrible side-in versus our deck. Post-board, I actually have very few Darks. I think I sided out. I don't remember if I sided out the Plague and the Dark Armed, but I think I did because I do go up to the full 3 Drago. He's going to attack into the Red Eyes, take 300 and blow up the Red Eyes. Sets a monster and passes. I draw Mind Crush, and I'm like, okay, I can just go for this, set Raikou while I have the position, not the position, but while I have the time to set the Raikou, I will set it. Next turn, I can bring out 5 head. So basically what I wanted to do here was I wanted to go Red Eyes, bring out Drago, but the issue with that is if I go Red Eyes, bring out Drago, I can't support it because I no longer have any dragons left in my hand. Once again, showing me missing the Totem Dragon quite a bit off the Future Fusion. Yeah, so if I go Red Eyes, bring out Drago, I can't. What was the fucking thing I was saying? I lost my train of thought. So I have to set the Raikou here, basically. So I have to take a full turn off, But that's okay. Next turn I get 5-headed dragon. Raikou can blow up whatever the fuck is set here. And then I can just OTK with red red plus Drago. He draws my body as a shield. He goes ahead and passes the turn. Electing not to set my body as a shield. No real reason. For no real reason at all. And also electing not to summon Consecrated for honestly no real reason. Summoning Consecrated here prevents the 5-headed dragon from coming out because 5-headed dragon is dark. As it stands, I just get my 5-headed dragon. I can Raikou pop his monster. I can summon, banish, special summon out the Drago, and attack directly with everything. So let's say my opponent had played this well, right? Let's say he had summoned Consecrated Light and set my body as a shield. I missed the 5-headed dragon summon, which does suck. I flip Raikou. I attempt to pop his set monster. He flips my body as a shield. I'm forced to summon Red Eyes Wyvern, attack over the Consecrated Light. He takes 1800, but he still has his Shining Angel sitting around. I can't bring out Red Eyes in the end phase. If I do bring out the Drago, if I go Red Eyes from hand, bring out the Drago from the end phase, I just fall apart because I have no dragon to reveal, and then the Shining Angel will trade with my Red Eyes. So actually, if my opponent had just played his cards, I would have lost this game. Which is funny to think about. Most likely. I most likely would have lost this game had my opponent just played his cards. So something to think about, definitely, when reflecting on these types of decks. And these types of cards, Machina Fortress, Shining Angel, these sticky, annoying cards are the reason why I really, really do like 3DD Warrior Lady. So even if I was to play this deck, like, moving forward, where is this game? Even if I was to play this, like, sort of Chaos Dragon deck moving forward, I highly doubt I would be on Raikou's. Or, like, maybe Raikou, but maybe also DD Warrior Lady somewhere in there. Like, a combination of the two. Maybe not Caius. Maybe just, like, Raikou, 3DD Warrior Lady, that sort of thing, and no Caius. But the issue is if you cut the Caiuses, then all of a sudden you can't play Dark Armed and Allure. So the whole deck, like, needs a reconstruction if you want to play those cards. Just something to think about. In any case, my opponent thankfully misplayed and we were able to go into the next game, which was up against my friend Spencer, who I fucking hate, by the way. Spencer is the ultimate noob, you know, just the ultimate noob. Like the noob at the end of the day who you just never want to play against because you know you stand nothing to gain. You stand nothing to gain. Either he plays terribly and you just roll him, which, and I'm only saying this because he's my boy, but either he plays terribly and you just roll him, or he plays terribly and he sacks the shit out of you. So there's only two options, and neither of those are fun. So, alas, here we are. He starts off with set 4. I upstart Goblin, and I set 2. Let's get a misplay counter going. Let's get a misplay counter. Misplay number 1. Blind Typhoon. Okay, so that's misplay number 1. Dust Tornado is going to get chained. We're going to get our 2 for 1. We're going to hit the one on the far right, and that's going to be Icarus Attack. So I know I am playing against Blackwings. So this is a smart play if you have follow-up, but he doesn't have follow-up. So he's going to go Sirocco, Special Bora, pump the Bora, attack into the set monster, and here I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a shitload of damage, but if I remove his monsters, then the future Icaruses are dead, and yeah, Bora's pretty easy for my hand to deal with. So I'm going to flip Raikou, I'm going to take 3600, but I am going to blow up that Sirocco, and I'm going to mill 3, and I'm also going to hit a dragon for my Red Eyes, but I am going to hit Dust Tornado and Heavy Storm, which is unfortunate, but I'm fairly certain he has a protection spell for Heavy Storm because he's set 4 going first. But that being said, it is Spencer, and you can never really know for sure. So here we draw Caius, and this is where you pro play the shit out of everyone. Okay, how do we clear this Bora through Deep Prison? Set Debris Dragon. How do we clear this Bora through Bottomless? Set Debris Dragon. So you set Debris Dragon here. Nobody is doing this. Nobody in their right mind is doing this. And if they summon Card Trooper or Red Eyes and they attack into this Bora and they get deprisoned and then they get reversaled and they take 1,000,000 damage the next turn, then they complain about how Blackwings is the best deck. It's because they made that one misplay on the one crucial turn, which is I need to clear his monsters. That's how you play this matchup, is you just need to clear their monsters and then they can't win. He attacks the Debris Dragon. He didn't draw Kalut, so he can't clear it. He sets another back row, passes it back. Here I go for Red Eyes Darkness Metal. This is to bait for oppression. I can still basically clear the Bora if I need to. I can summon Red Eyes Wyvern passively if I need to. I go Red Eyes Darkness. This is an oppression check, basically. I want him to flip oppression here if he has it, because I want either his Starlight Road to be dead if it's a Starlight Road, or I want him to not be able to top deck Blizzard and reversal me. So basically I go for this as an oppression check. Red Eyes Darkness Metal gets summoned. He chains Bottomless. We're able to bring out the Drago. And so we do get the free body. I ask if there's anything on summon. So basically I've confirmed that there's no Bottomless Trap Hole further. I can sack the Drago for the Caius and clear the Bora guaranteedly. Another reason I wanted to go for the Red Eyes is if I ran into like Icarus attack, it would clear the Bora naturally, and I would also put a Dark in my graveyard towards my Dark Armed. So here comes Caius, banish the Bora, he's going to take 1,000. Now his Blizzies off the top are going to be dead. I am going to attack, even though he does have Deep Prison, as always. And now I know that the center set here, because it is the first set he played, that's the protection spell, and the one on the right is the real back row, because that's the one he top decked later. He draws for turn, he passes. I go ahead and set Raikou pass. I draw compulsory. I flip the Raikou. I target the real back row, obviously, because the center one is the protection spell. Mill 3, we ended up hitting a Red Eyes Wyvern, which is nice if we ever find Drago. I go Card Trooper, mill 3. I know that this will go through. I have compulsory to defend myself at least one turn. I deal 2,100 here. And I do hit that Red Eyes Darkness Metal with my Card Trooper. Unfortunately, I have normal summon, so I can't bring him out this turn. Just set the compulsory. He goes Whirlwind, summon Blizzy. He has no targets. I compulsory the Blizzy, and he does not Dark Bribe my compulsory. So he has forced to pass the turn back. I go Card Trooper, mill 3. I hit a Dark. I special Dark Armed. I normal Wyvern, and that's game. So, yeah. Once again, like I said, just the easiest player in the world to read. Spencer is just... I've known him forever, and still he's a scrub. Some players just never learn. Some players just never learn. You blow up the Dark Bribe, keep it simple. Don't blow up the Whirlwind, play around Gores, attack with everything. Go into game 2 and just, yeah. Free. Honestly, what can I say about Spencer other than free? Freest matchup of my life. Sag, this is where things fall apart. This is where things fall apart. You think this hand looks great. You think it looks great. Set back row pass, set back row pass. He's obviously trying to set up some sort of something. Normal summon Shura. There goes Bottomless. Why did he not use the Typhoon? Misplay count, number 2. Alright. Sets back row passes. Here comes set Raikou pass. Here comes Nobleman. Okay, he boarded in Nobleman's. Not very happy about Raikou in this instance. I definitely don't like it that much in this deck. Lose all our Raikous, but that's fine. We still have Trag Gores, so... Here comes the Kalut attack, drop Tragodia, easy play around Icarus attack, which he doesn't end up actually having. We sacrifice for Caius, banish the Kalut. He takes 1,000. We attack into the D prison. He has it, but that's fine because we still have Gores. He summons Bora. He attacks. We drop the token and the Gores. And yeah, we draw Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and you can see my hand is a bunch of dragons, and I have no value to get off of it. Even though the Trag and the Gores and the Caius have been good, it just didn't really amount to much here. I can Soul Taker the Bora, but it'll put him back up to 8,000. And then I don't really have that much to press my advantage. So I'm just going to switch the Gores and attack over the Bora. And this is just going to go through. And I'm like, alright, pass turn. Here comes Blizzy. And I'm like, well, there goes my Gores. Runs over the Gores, takes the Gores. And I'm like, that's fine. At least I have Soul Taker. So I'm going to go for that. Clear the Yugioh Guardian. He's going to gain 1,000. Set Card Trooper and pass. The reason I set Card Trooper here is because I need to at least give myself another turn to try and get this Red Eyes off. And then if another Blizzard comes down here, or if Brain Control comes down here, I do lose. So I just need a better position in order to go for this shit. He goes Blizzard, bring out Bora, and he has lethal here. He just synchros into Bionic, pitches 2, and then bounces my 2 cards. Gores and Tragodia are both gone. My Gores is on his side of the field, and Trag is on my side of the field. So it's the freest fucking lethal, but he doesn't go for it. Misplay count number 3. Gores is going to attack the token. Armed Wing is going to attack the defense position monster. We're going to draw into Lightning Vortex. I'm like, wow, I love this card. It's so good. I draw into Debris Dragon. I just go for the Debris. He chains DD Crow, targets Card Trooper, which makes me very happy because this Debris Dragon is still in play for my Red Eyes. And I'm able to Lightning Vortex, bring out the Wyvern for free, and attack for a shitload of damage. But he's going to DD Crow that and force me to special summon my Debris Dragon. So the DD Crow's putting in a little bit of work for him, but we are getting in 2,800. He sets a back row and passes. I draw Heavy Storm. I Heavy Storm. I attack over his monster. I pass the turn. I don't want to switch this in case he finds Shura. It's too bad for me. I can't afford to attack for 1,000 here. He draws for turn. He sets a monster and passes the turn. He literally had one top deck to get out of this situation. I'm like, all right, I need to actually turn up the jets here. I special my other Red Eyes, and he ripped fucking Fossil Dyna. So this fucking scrub, who is misplayed, mislethal, is not deserving to win this game, but is getting bailed out by a lucky ass top deck. Fucking miserable, frustrating game. This is. I hate playing when your opponent just plays terribly and then just gets rewarded. It's like, bro, come on. Sets monster passes. I set the Solemn. He summons Shura. I'm like, the other monster must be a Snowman Eater because he didn't attack me with it last turn. Misplay count number 4. And then he flips Vayu, and I'm like, all right, so he just misplayed 4 times so far, and he's getting rewarded. We're going to game 3. All right. And I told him you missed lethal 6 turns prior because I want to get in his head, basically. Now, this game, we open up with a really fucking lovely hand, which is 6 flip effect monsters, a Drago that does nothing, and a Red Eyes that does nothing. So I'm like, wow, this is awesome. This is really fucking great. I love this game. This is super awesome. I fucking hate Raikou, by the way. This happens to me every single time I play Vayu Turbo. This happens to me almost every single time I play any fucking hamster deck. You just open up with 4 of them, and your hand just dies. I set Snowman Eater, and then, yeah, because people don't realize the first Raikou is usually good. But every Raikou after it has diminishing returns. So drawing multiples of this card is not very good. It's just not. It's just not where it should be. Especially when the rest of your hand isn't turned on by Raikou. So I lead with set Snowman Eater, hoping he doesn't have fucking Whirlwind Sirocco. Whoa, what is this? He has Whirlwind Sirocco. And guess what he goes for? Misplay number 5. Searches Bora. Bro, search Shura. What if this is a Raikou? I just blow up your Sirocco and then I'm stable. Huh? Let's take a look at his hand. Huh? Just search Shura. Going for the damage here is so bad. We take 1800. We blow up the Sirocco. He sets 3. Now I know one of them is Dark Ass Bribe. I draw Mind Crush, and I'm like, that's fucking useless. I'll just play into Icarus and hope he doesn't have Blizzard. I set 2, pass. He doesn't have Icarus. Thankfully, he does have Typhoon. He end-phase Typhoons my Mind Crush, and I'm like, thank God that card was doing nothing for me. He goes ahead and just attacks into the Snowman Eater, and we get our +1. I'm like, alright. Free. If we look at his hand, he's got Dyna, he's got Blizzard. I'm like, alright. Normal's Blizzard, activates Whirlwind, brings out the Bora, and I'm just like, man, I fucking hate this game. Synchros into Armed Wing. Now, this is a misplay, but it also tells me that he doesn't have Icarus. You should be making Goyo Guardian here, because Goyo Guardian is stronger than this card. He's representing Kalut, but he doesn't have it, so it's like just not even worth it. I have Compulsory to deal with this Armed Wing. So it's just not it. Going for Armed Wing here is just not it. You either leave both and force me to deal with both monsters in play, or you make Bryonik or Goyo. You make the better cards. You don't make Armed Wing here if you don't have Kalut or Icarus. So yeah, he's representing those cards, but he doesn't have them, and I'm just forced to play into them anyway. So yeah, pass the turn. He attacks the Snowman. I'll Compulse. Let's see if he has Icarus. Doesn't use his Dark Bribe. Just lets his monster die. Sets Vayu. Sets back row. Passes the turn. New back row is Royal Oppression. Here I just flip the Raikou. Once again, these 2 are most likely going to be protection spells, but I do want to clear them because why not? Mill 3. Attack the set monster because it's most likely to be Vayu. And yeah, the reason I targeted the other 2 is because the new one is most likely to be Icarus because I compulsed the Armed Wing and he didn't Icarus. So I went after the old 2 because the new one is Icarus. I want a Raikou run over the Vayu. I don't want to target an Icarus and have it be chained and hit both my monsters, basically. I'm going to normal summon Drago here, main phase 2. Reveal the dragon and pass the turn. He draws for turn here. And now this is where things get frustrating. He just passes. Here, I just attack for 19. He has D-Prison, and I wish I had dragons in my hand because I could tribute summon my Red Eyes and bring out the other Drago and lock him out of this game. Alas, I just have to set Raikou, set back row, pass. He can't summon the Dark Armed because he has 4 Darks engraved. Misplay number 5. No, number 6. Showing me that he has Dark Armed in his hand for no fucking reason. Just doesn't activate the Vayu Sirocco for no reason either. Just sets Mirror Force, passes. I draw into my own Mirror Force. I flip Raikou. I target his new one. That's most likely to be Icarus. It's not, obviously. Here, I double tribute for Red Eyes. I activate Red Eyes. I bring out Drago. I attack, but he top decked Mirror Force like the lucky scrub that he is. And he destroys my 2 monsters. I set my own Mirror Force because on his turn, he's going to go activate summon Armed Wing. I'm going to be forced to Mirror Force the Arm Wing. And then when he goes Special Dark Arm, main phase 2, priority activate target Snowman Eater. I can chain Bottomless on the Dark Arm. Lucky motherfucker top decks his second Blizzard. He goes ahead and summons it, activates Whirlwind. Oppression checking me, misplay number 7. Fucking doesn't actually have a target. cheating ass. Summons Dark Armed. Misplay number 8 doesn't target the new back row. Priority target Snowman Eater, Chain Bottomless. The new back row is very obviously a battle trap based off of my sequencing. Makes Armed Wing. Attacks with the Armed Wing. I'm forced to Mirror Force this to make my Gores live. I draw Future Fusion, and now I'm sitting here like, well, I'm fucked. Because I basically have to Future Fusion and summon 2 Red Eyes. And if he has a Blackwing monster, then he can Black Rose my field, and then at least Gores will be live, right? So I go Future Fusion, 5-headed dragon, send my dragons. End phase, bring out double Red Eyes. I misclick there and accidentally banish another Wyvern. He top decks the fucking Blackwing he needs to play this game. He normal summons it. He searches Gale. Misplay number 9 doesn't have one of my black metal dragons or whatever, not that it matters, because he's just going to Black Rose nuke. This is misplay number 10. You shouldn't make Black Rose here. You should just make Armor Master, because I can't fucking out it. Yeah, blows up the thing, makes Armor Master. Misplay number 11, attacks into fucking Gores for no reason. You have a Dyna. You don't need to attack into Gores this turn. You can just wait till next turn, but attacks into Gores anyway. Fucking misplays 11 times. I top deck Bottomless. I'm like, alright, I have a chance here. I'll just run this over. I'll crash to play around Kalut. Attack directly for 2,700. Set Bottomless. End phase. Bring out my Red Eyes. Pass a turn. And he has fucking Dyna. Once again, just perfect nut draws. I draw into Debris Dragon. I'm like, alright, I can synchro with this Debris Dragon if I want to. I'll bring out the Drago. I attack into the Dyna. And I lose my whole fucking board. And I'm just like, dude, come on. You've got to be fucking kidding me. And so my opponent is now top decked at this point, like 6 perfect cards in a row. He's top decked back-to-back Blizzies. He's top decked Dark Arm Dragon. He's top decked the Dyna he needs. He top decked the Shura to get him the Gale off the Whirlwind. Just insane luck or noob getting rewarded for his 11 misplays. And then I go Debris Dragon, bring out my monster to play around Oppression, to play around further Dynas, to summon the Ancient Fairy in defense position. He normal summons Bora. Doesn't wait for me to flip Bottomless Trap Hole. Just goes straight to the battle phase, revealing as Kalut. Misplay number 12. I Bottomless the Bora. I draw Soul Taker, and I'm like, alright, well, all I need to do is fade a monster 1 turn. I attack for 2,100. Guess what monster this motherfucker top decks? That's right, his 3rd fucking Blizzard. Oh my god. This was the most frustrating game I've ever played in my life. And you know what? This game wouldn't have fucking happened if I wasn't playing 16 Rykos in my deck and playing the slowest, most dog-shit build of this deck ever. Oh my god, I have never been this salty. This is my first loss to Spencer lifetime. And like I said at the beginning, I stand to gain nothing. I stand to gain nothing playing him, because if I play against him and he sacks me, then I lose, and it makes me look bad. And then if I play against him and I beat him, which is what should happen, because he plays terribly, god damn it, Spencer, I swear to God, it's so on the next time I see you, Spencer, the next time I see you at Raising Cane's, it's so on, motherfucker. You know how it's going down. You know how it's going down. I'm like, you played this game like shit. I called him a dumbass because I'm a hater. I treat my friends abusively. That's what this is. He's going to take the Ancient Fairy Dragon. I top deck Space Typhoon, and I'm just like, I want to scream. I want to fucking scream. I know his last card is Kalut. I can basically just hope he doesn't play into Mirror Force or Torrential, but guess what? Guess what? This motherfucker does. He just says, fuck it, and he just plays into it. And guess what? I don't have it because my Mirror Force is in the graveyard. And so, I lose. That's how it goes. I lose with this build of dragons, and ultimately, reflecting upon it from those 4 matches, I think this deck is okay. I think that's like, it was really cool to see it on camera for Orlando. I kind of had to play it for myself to like see if it was good, to see if it was the truth. And ultimately, I think it is worse than DD Warrior Lady Dragons. Just from like my experience playing it and just from like my interactions playing it, I seriously miss DD Warrior Lady. In all 3 of those matches, I wanted DD Warrior Lady so fucking badly. This is the best card to complement the dragons. This card and Drago. Like, fine, cut the Mass Dragons, cut the Totems if you want for Raikou Caius, but don't cut DD Warrior Lady, because like that's literally the point of this deck. You guys think the point of this deck is Drago and Red Mid, which it kind of is, but the real hidden point of this deck is DD Warrior Lady. And so, moving forward, I may try to hybridize these 2 lists. I may try to get Lightning Vortex in here, maybe over Smashing Ground. I may try out some sort of Debris, Card Trooper, Raikou nonsense, but most likely not. I was very unimpressed with Raikou. Caius was okay. It actually had some applications where it was kind of nice. I think it'd be kind of interesting if there was a way to fit Caius into this style of deck somehow. But overall, definitely not as gassed on this list because I lost to fucking Spencer. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Peace.